Alright, big data is watching. I bet you've heard that, and everyone is obsessed with it. Is big data the digital reincarnation of Big Brother? Is it progress for mankind, or is it a threat? Today we're going to explore what defines big data, why it's a big deal with big companies, how it works, and what steps you can take for your privacy. The stakes are high when it comes to big data, so keep watching. So I guess I have to start the show by asking the question, what exactly is big data? Although big data is big in size, but big data doesn't merely refer to size. Big data is all about a database that is so extensive and complicated that traditional processing applications cannot effectively analyze it. In other words, it's a bit too much for our laptops. So to describe a set of big data, experts usually use the three big V's. It's volume, velocity, and variety. It's data that is large in volume, fast-growing in velocity, and diverse when it comes to variety. Let's talk about volume. Big data is, it's big because it collects little bits and pieces of data from everywhere. Your likes, your shares, your marathon binge watches on Netflix, they all feed the big data beast. Even some of the devices you use collect data about you. For instance, your whereabouts, your heartbeat, your emotions, and your speed or your mode of travel. So you, sir, madam, your very existence is generating data every moment. And that's just you. Millions of Internet of Things devices continuously produce data. It's that huge. We're talking petabytes and zettabytes of data. If we stick with the idea that data is being produced and collected every moment, that means that the database must be also growing at an immense speed. That's the second V, velocity. Velocity means how fast the database grows and perhaps how fast it is being processed. Obviously, the faster the better. Since data is produced in real time, the ideal speed would for it to be processed in real time too. Because would you rather know about your customer and what they're thinking right now or what they were thinking yesterday? If you know what they're thinking right now, you can make an offer before they leave your store. You can give them an offer they cannot refuse. And it's not just about selling, folks. Real-time data processing can help surgeons make the right decision when the choices are difficult during surgery. Or they can be warned of a mistake before they commit it. Big data is amazing. And now we get to the third V, variety. If big data was this big, delicious pizza that I was having for dinner tonight, and oh my god, I hope my colleague can hear me now, the toppings on that pizza would be the variety. Since data is ideally collected from every relevant source that is possible, it includes a huge variety of data. It can contain structured data, it's that kind of data that fits neatly into a table, or unstructured data, like a voice message or a picture. This is one of the reasons why big data is complicated. You're not dealing with a homogeneous set of data. The variety means that it requires further processing, different kinds of cleaning, and an analysis that can address all the diversity within our big data. The three big V's were originally introduced by Gartner in 2001, and as you can guess, a lot has changed since then. So two more V's have also been added to how we describe big data, and they are very important. I'm talking about veracity and value. Data isn't useful if it doesn't lead to information we can trust. That's veracity. And what's the point of data if you can't use the results for meaningful decisions? That is value. Veracity is the truth teller, ensuring the data isn't telling tall tales. It means reliability. If you give unreliable input to a system, can you expect anything except an unreliable answer? That's no good. And value means the kind of insight we can expect from the data we feed into our system. Big data must include the right data in order to produce insights that have business value or decision-making value for us. If we want a deep analysis about carrot sales, for instance, and feed our system with big data that has all the right V's, but it's about potatoes, how valuable is that data set going to be for us? Unless you're in a weird way prejudiced against potatoes, the answer would be nothing. So I hope you understood the 5 V's and why they're so important, but enough with definitions. So what? What's the big deal with big data? These massive volumes of data can be utilized to address complicated problems we couldn't have solved before, or it can be used to discover or even create new opportunities. Remember that big data can be used to collect and process data in real time, allowing for quicker adaptation to the current situation. It's also used retrospectively to study what better decisions could have been made and prepare for the next opportunity. Big data is changing the way the world uses information. It is becoming the North Star for decision making. When it comes to people management, for instance, big data can be used to forecast city traffic and provide solutions for it. It can detect fraud as soon as it happens or even before it does. It can help in science, fintech, urban management, and much more. It truly is amazing. According to Google Cloud, 58% of companies that make data-based decisions are more likely to beat revenue targets than those that don't. Remember that big data goes much deeper into the information than small data analytics. Organizations with advanced insights-driven business capabilities, that was difficult to say, are almost 3 times more likely to report double-digit year-over-year growth. And data-driven organizations generate, on average, more than 30% growth per year. So how does this amazing concept work? The central concept of big data is that the more visibility you have into a topic, the more access you have to the treasures it hides. I mean, information. So it's natural that the data collection is a big part of using big data. This data, as we covered before, can come from everywhere. So first, we hoard data obsessively. Next comes integration. You see, collecting terabytes of data means that we probably have a lot of different types of it. We have text, states, numbers, emojis, I don't know, codes, voices, images, you name it. And they all come in different formats. You want to analyze them together. All that data must be organized and integrated in a way that makes it possible to use collectively. That's integration. Next, we have storage. The data that must be analyzed must have a place to live. Data can be kept on-premise, I mean on your own computer or local storage, or on the cloud. Cloud storage is becoming more popular nowadays because of the data safety it provides, and because you only have to pay for what you need and nothing more. And finally, we have the analyze and act steps, the whole point of collecting, cleaning, organizing, and storing data. Throughout these steps, what's actually happening is that several, perhaps hundreds or thousands of computer hardware work parallel together, next to each other. In other words, we distribute the huge job at hand into smaller tasks for each hardware. Each hardware works on its own task, but they put the results together to form one singular response. Since working with big data requires enormous resources that not everyone can afford, some companies turn to cloud computing. Companies like Google, Amazon, AWS, and Oracle offer cloud computing access where you can store, clean, and analyze your data using their hardware. This means you don't have to worry about making the setup and the hefty down payment it requires, or even maintenance. And you can only take as much resource as you need on demand. It does make a lot of sense to use cloud computing when it comes to big data. This is how this amazing system works, to give us deep information about how the world works, what decisions to make, show us what we're missing, and teach us how we think. Yeah, you heard me. Big data can be used to mine our way of thinking. It can be used to identify how to manipulate people. A politician can use big data to convince us by simply saying the right words and showing the right emotions at the right time. Are you worried? You should be. With all the benefits that big data brings, the question when it comes to new tools is always, how can it be misused? One of the main dangers of big data is the ambiguity that exists in how it functions. You see, big data uses a huge data source to infer conclusions. We don't exactly know, and we can't really tell, how big data makes its conclusions. And that ambiguity is one reason to be cautious, because if we don't know exactly how something is working, how can we be sure if it's presenting correct results? Did I scare you, or do you feel better? Let me know in the comments. Furthermore, big data works on the data we give it. If we give it biased data, it will give us biased results back. But it's also possible that we give data that we think is neutral, but has biases that we are unaware of. The system will again give us biased responses. We have to be careful not to blindly accept what big data tells us. And there is a solution. We must vet the source to make sure bias or other anomalies do not exist, and more importantly, consistently check the responses to identify any errors or bias in the responses. But hey, there's a bigger threat with regards to big data. Remember that big databases are made by collecting all the data possible, including likes from your Facebook, comments from Twitter, watch time from YouTube, swipes from TikTok, spelling mistakes from your messaging app, your eye movement on a website, your mouse movement on a desktop, and even the things you type but delete before sending. That can all go into the database. The phrase "Big Brother is watching you" has never felt more real. With big data, surveillance isn't just about being watched, it's about being analyzed. The misuse of such data could be used to control or manipulate nations. To prevent this, data privacy laws such as GDPR in Europe give people more control over their personal information. Transparency from companies about data collection and usage is being demanded. Anonymization of data before analysis is becoming a standard practice, although it doesn't really always work. And there's a growing call for ethical AI, ensuring algorithms are fair and unbiased. These measures are steps towards ensuring that while big data has an eye everywhere, it's used to serve humans and not misuse them. But you shouldn't just sit idly and wait for governments to do something. There are certain steps you can take to provide further protection for yourself. For instance, try to use services that you can trust with your data. Use privacy options whenever they're available, and use encrypted services. The bottom line is that big data is huge. It can deliver tremendous and revolutionary benefits to mankind, and like every tool, it has its fair share of dangers. It's up to us to act responsibly and make sure that others use it responsibly too. So, don't worry too much about it, and don't be too trusting either. Big data has come to do amazing things, and amazing things it will do. Alright fellas, thanks for watching. If you liked it, we have a lot more coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe. It's okay, subscribe, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Subscribe.
But I think I look like a freak at the end. Alright, are we good? Is it over?
Yeah.
Thanks everybody.